Welcome to Brevard News, your trusted news source in Brevard County. And today I'm with Troy Tidwell, who is running for District 2, or actually is county seat, or seat 2 of the Titusville City Council. Welcome, Troy.
Thank you, Kevin.
And also with us is Katie Delaney, who is running for County Commission, seat 1, right?
Yes.
All right, welcome, guys. So we're going to have some fun here, and this is a good time to be able to talk about the news and be able to get your input. I think that this show really can cause people to be able to have great information about what's going on in Brevard County. You're not going to get this anyplace else, the kind of information you get here. So let's start off with the parade in Titusville, Troy. Great parade. If there's one thing that Titusville does well, it's parades, right?
I couldn't agree with you more. And first of all, thank you for having me. It's good to be back around the table. But yeah, credit where credit is due. Titusville, I want to congratulate the city of Titusville. They did a phenomenal job last night of pulling off probably one of the best Christmas parades I've been a part of or that I've seen. And it was well attended. The participants were many. There were a lot of
Katie had it floating the parade
Katie
there.
had a float, and thank you for that. And there were a few other candidates, but she by far was a standout. And
Of
local,
course.
yeah, local fire, police, all of our first responders, all the local schools, a lot of volunteer organizations, and obviously a lot of local businesses. But the attendance was terrific. Just from where I was standing, I could look around. I mean, I saw hundreds and hundreds of people, which makes me think that along the route there had to be a couple of thousand. So
How long was it?
uh, probably about a mile and a half, 2 miles, would you say? Give or take. And it was from, I think, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So that's how many people were in the parade. But as I look around and saw how many people were there, it reminded me of what an awesome city we have and what a huge responsibility the city leaders have to really provide good government for the city of Titusville. And speaking of all the people, Titusville is growing. Next year we're going to surpass probably over 50,000 citizens, which is a lot for this size city. And it's really going to require a lot of, a lot of capital improvements. And one of the first things that come to mind is the demand for city water, sewage, public transportation, which will put a strain on not only the city of Titusville, but Brevard County as well. I mean, there's just any number of things that come with more people. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm saying it's a good thing, but you've got to be prepared. So you're going to need people in government that are going to be willing to take on the tough tasks, ask the hard questions, make some tough decisions, look at the budget, make sure the general fund is going to be there. And there's just any number of issues that people are going to really have to pay attention. So you got to be careful who your leaders are and make sure they're not just phoning it in.
The local act is a classic example of it, right? So you have this act that's passed that's really going to really impede on the property rights of the local citizens, right? So what would you have done in that situation had you been on the city council at that time?
First of all, that Live Local Act has got to be fired up, and really Katie did a phenomenal job last week, as did you, of really breaking it down for the community, and I appreciate that because I learned a lot. But what it uncovered was basically that the city council voted to bypass the voters. They're no longer part of the public discussion phase of approving new construction when it comes to commercial use. And basically, they've got carte blanche to do pretty much anything they want without any say-so from the voters, from the people who live in whatever area it is. They're going to make all those decisions administratively behind closed doors, and they will bypass the public input to do that, and that is wrong.
Do you think that there's any danger? Because I'm always thinking down the line of what are the logical consequences of this? Is there any danger that eminent domain could be used
Sure.
to impede upon property rights in ways that even goes beyond what we know today?
Well, once you pass an ordinance like that, it's a slippery slope. The first thing that I'm going to do when I get to City Hall is on day one, I'm going to vote and put into place to repeal the Live Local Act. I'm going to work really hard on that. That's going to be one of my platform issues, and we're going to get it done because it's not right. And I believe once the citizens of Titusville find out what it's all about, as you guys let them know last week, I think it'll be really easy to repeal.
This is unconstitutional, isn't it?
I think
What goes into the mindset of someone who would pass this 5-0?
either you like the power or you don't care. One of the two. I don't know which.
And
You,
so, go ahead.
no, both are wrong. So we're gonna flip this thing, and doing the right thing is gonna be pretty easy to do.
Katie, this affects, again, as we talked about last week, this has an effect from the county point of view as well. So each municipality has to vote on this, right?
As well as the county.
Titusville is one of the few cities that have voted on it up to this point, right?
Yes.
And so how do you see this going across the rest of the county?
A lot of the cities are waiting to see how this shakes out, which I think is smart, because I assume it's going to be challenged at some point. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of the county proceeds.
So what would you do if you were on a county commission? What would you do about this from a county commission point of view? Could you do anything?
Well, I think that we could probably put some safeguards into an ordinance, because if it's state law, we're going to have an ordinance. But maybe we could put into our ordinance that it has to go through zoning and planning.
Can we repeal the state law? Can we take it to court? This seems unconstitutional even from a state point.
I would love to see the cities and the counties around the state of Florida challenge this and bring it to court. I would love to see the citizens challenge this bill.
Okay, next thing on our agenda, Tobiah. Okay, so now there's an issue that came up this week where County Commissioner Tobiah was, he wasn't indicted, but there was an executive order signed by Governor DeSantis that formed an investigation into him over voter fraud, right? What's happening with that?
There's not too much information out there yet about the specifics about this, but I hope that it goes through a thorough investigation and we'll see what the facts look like.
So, what do you want an election? Is this coincidence?
You know, in politics, it's you never know what's going to happen.
Evidence that's been placed forward. There's just been an accusation, right?
So the way that ethics complaints work is that anybody could say anybody is doing anything, and then it launches an investigation and it goes from there. So
If someone filed an ethics complaint in the middle of an election,
if they're doing something wrong, I would hope that people would file ethics complaints. But it can also be used as a weapon, unfortunately, for sure.
I know that John Tobias is a controversial figure in Brevard County, but for the sake of the integrity of elections, the question is raised. I mean, is this an issue? I mean, so anyone can raise a complaint in the middle of an election. Are they not then interfering with an election?
That's an interesting point. I think that at the end of the day, it comes down to was there evidence, and is there cause for doing this kind of complaint?
Okay.
Because if somebody's doing something wrong, we should, I don't care what time it is, they should be brought to the table on it.
And you think that the people should know who they're voting on and let the people decide?
Exactly.
The next thing that we have on our agenda is the Cocoa Police. And so we have the police departments across the country have really bad reputations today. Not that they are doing anything bad. I really believe that most police departments are great police departments. But we have a lot of people who are trying to actually soil their reputation. You can't do that with the Cocoa Police Department and what they did with the kids this past week, right, Troy?
Oh, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more, Kevin. Police in a lot of cases do get a bad rap, and I think most officers are good, and they're trying to do the right thing on behalf of their employers. What the Cocoa PD did this week, they took 35 kids on a shopping spree to Walmart there in Cocoa, and man, they had a phenomenal time. They got a chance to fill their carts. The kids loved it. The Walmart employees loved it. And I think the people who enjoyed it the most, though, were the officers. I think they got more out of it than anybody. And I know some of those guys. They're a bunch of great guys and girls on the Cocoa PD. And you know, I'm sure that in Titusville, Chief Lau, I'm sure he has a lot of things lined up also. There's plenty of opportunity in Titusville to do some of the same kind of things. But what a great story! I really liked it, and I think my hat's off to Cocoa PD.
It's really sad that the police have to outrun the loud voices. Really, I think it's a minority of voices who are actually trying to paint them in a bad light. But this really helps, right?
Yeah, what a great story! What a great gesture! And I think they're probably not the only ones doing that type of thing. I think it's probably all over the country. You know, so again, I'm pro police.
So one last word before we close up. What would you do if you were on the city council today, Troy, that would change Brevard County? What would be your main thing that you would want to do that would actually change the city of Titusville?
Well, the biggest thing for me is there needs to be greater transparency on city council. So during my campaign, I intend to visit every single neighborhood, and I will involve every single voter that I can get in front of and make sure they know what's going on in the city. And then once we get to City Hall, I'm going to do my very best to increase the attendance of the council meetings by the citizens, so that they can see what's going on. They have a voice in their government, and again, good government, transparent government, and again, people that are not just there to say yes or no, but really roll up their sleeves and do some hard work, because that's missing, right? I think people nowadays just really want to get up there and have some name recognition, and I don't want to do that. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for Titusville. I love Titusville, and you know, I don't like the direction the city's going, so I'm gonna get involved and try to help change that.
What would you do, Katie?
Well, I gotta say transparency is number one. We've seen many times this year the county commission has uh, had votes that weren't necessarily on the agenda. They were trying to avoid the public and avoid their voice, and I think that that's completely wrong. But also, we got to stop the wasteful spending. We have to be better about how we're spending our money, reallocate the priorities. Our infrastructure is crumbling. Our fire and EMT, they need some serious help. You know, our police, any of our first responders. But we just need to be
Fiscally responsible?
yeah, we just
Yeah.
need to be better about how we're spending our money.
So is it possible to have limited government? And this is to both of you guys. Is it possible to have limited government and to still be able to take care of the needs of, say, Titusville and the county? I mean,
I
that's a
think
question
so.
that comes up because we're supposed to be conservatives, and you have Republicans all throughout the county, and they're not acting like the Republicans. Limited government doesn't seem to be on their lips. Is it possible to do both?
Absolutely.
Do
Yeah.
you?
I think so as well. I think that we just need to be better stewards of the money that we raise through taxes. At the end of the day, it's the citizens' money, and our job is to spend it wisely. And if if we have so much money to go around, maybe we should have lower taxes.
I'm sure that there's a lot of people that, it's a good way to close this portion of Brevard News. And thanks for joining us. This is your trusted source in Brevard County, your local news. We'll see you next time.